Look what's back. The 2002 KTM, I think it's a 400 EXC. The person that sold it to me said it was a 450, but I'm pretty sure it's a 400. But anyway, last video, we took it for the first ride after fixing it, and it was not running very well. It kind of felt like it was hitting the rev limiter very, very soon. It was like bogging, it just misfiring, it was just not good. So I posted that video, and a ton of people said that they think it's electrical, and I'm kind of with you on that. I kind of do think it's electrical. We went through the carburetor like 4 times. The engine is all good, valves were checked, timing was checked, so everything is good there. It almost feels like it's like a grounding issue or something. So what we're going to do is unplug all the wires from the light today. We're going to follow the whole path the wires lead to, check all the handlebar controls out, check the stator out again, check the flywheel out, make sure the woodruff key in there didn't move. We're just going to go through the whole bike and make sure everything is good. And then we'll dig into the engine, but I'm pretty sure it's electrical. So we will figure it out, hopefully. Electrical is usually a pain to figure out, so we will see. It definitely could be a bad coil, or a bad CDI, or a bad stator. So we will figure out today what is causing the problem. But it does start up fine, it just does not rev out. I'll quick start it up and then rev it out so you guys can hear what it sounds like. Alright, let's see if it'll start up. Sounds like it's revving out all the way in neutral. You can hear it kind of break up there. But we'll go test drive it and see what it sounds like. See how it like kind of hits the rev limiter there? Should have a lot more power than that. And yeah, it looks pretty black. Look at that. It's definitely running pretty rich. Definitely not lean. It's pretty black. Pretty black. What do you think, Ben? Look at that. Look at the plug. Yeah, it's pretty black, isn't it? What do you think? Running rich? Alright, so as you can see, it starts up fine, revs out in neutral fine, but as soon as you get on it in first gear, it just bogs and hits the rev limiter like right away. So yeah, it's not good. So we're going to start by taking off the seat, the tank, the shrouds, get all that stuff out of the way so we can see the wiring harness on this thing. Alright, we got the gas tank off. You can see all the wiring and everything in here. Looks like the harness comes up from the on-off switch up there. And it looks like some go to the light right here. And that's coming from, I think that's directly from the stator. But we're gonna check in here by the coil, see if all the wires are tight, see if there's a ground going to the coil. But what I first wanna do is see what the spark looks like. And we're gonna take up the coil boot. See if there's some exposed wire. Just gonna cut off a little bit of that. Reinstall the boot. You can see it's nice and exposed now. And it could be a bad boot as well. I'll have to check a different spark plug boot. I think it was pretty black before. So yeah, it's pretty black. So it definitely could be running rich as well, but it sounds more electrical to me. Let's just see what that spark looks like. Looks pretty good. Nothing looks off to me. So spark checks out, does spark consistently. Nothing weird there. Let's just go through all the wires and just see if there's a ground issue. Something's hitting the frame. Something's grounding out. Wires pull out of the CDI or the rectifier. So we'll go through the whole thing and then I'll come back if I find anything. All right, I found some ohm reading tests to do on the coil. So let's do the main coil first here. Let's see what the reading should be on the ignition coil. Okay, so the primary blue coil, which is right here, the blue and white one, should be, so the blue and white to ground should be 0.3 ohms. So this to ground should be 0.3 ohms right here. And that's 0.7, 0.6 ohms. So that's high. So measuring from this peg to the ground right here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. This peg to the ground. You can see it's 0.7. So it should be 0.3. It's about 0.5. So that's a little high. Let's measure. I mean, I don't think that's gonna be bad. So we're going from the blue and white to the wire right here, and that should be 6.3 kilo ohms. I have to turn that to kilo ohms. See what we get here. It's not picking up anything. Yeah, you can see it's almost 6.3 exactly. 6.27, so that's good. All right. So coil looks pretty decent. The first reading was a little high. Now we're gonna go to the stator. I guess we could have just left this here. Now we're going to the stator. We're gonna do the pickup coil. The pickup coil is the red and green wires. That should be 100 ohms. So we'll go back to the 200. And this should be around 100 ohms. If I can get it on there. Oh, just had the reading. You really should use like a paper clip or something. 105.7. So it's plus or minus 20. So we are good there. So that's perfectly in range. So the pickup coil looks good. And then the exciter black and red coil needs to be 15 ohms plus or minus 3 ohms. So black and red, and then black and white right here. So I've got these hooked up to here. So let's hook these up with the alligator clip here. Alright, let's see what these are. Needs to be 15 ohms. Alright, plus or minus 3 ohms, so we're right in that range. 15.6, so that's perfect. Alright, next one is charge coil ground to yellow. So we're going to ground this one out, and then to the yellow one. And this one should be 0.65 ohms plus or minus 0.15 ohms. Plus or minus 0.15. So we are out of the range on that one. The highest it can be is 0.8. Oh, there we go. Just hit 0.8. So that's actually fine. Alright, I guess that's good. Next test is white to yellow, should be 0.16 ohms. So the white wire right here to the yellow. So we'll get a lead in there. So everything is checking out so far. Let's see what this one reads. So this one should be 0.16 plus or minus 0.03. Going down. That was a little high. That's 0.4. We're definitely out of the range. Oh, it's 0.3. It's going down. The lowest it can be is about 0.2. So I mean, it's not that far off, you know. That was a little bit high. So I think what we're going to do is check out the stator. All of them are pretty close to the right range. None of them like were crazy far off. So I'm not thinking it's the stator. The coil was fine. Yeah, I don't know. That's really weird. Alright, everything kind of checked out. So I replaced the spark plug boot thinking maybe that was the issue. And same thing, still bogs and feels like it hits the rev limiter. So it's not that. Let's try disconnecting the headlight, making sure those wires aren't grounding out, and test drive it again. So we had the light disconnected, all these wires coming from the engine, disconnected that, and still does the same thing. So it wasn't that. I guess, I don't know. I guess the only thing we have left to do is check the flywheel. Maybe something's wrong with the magnets or something. I don't know. Very, very odd. Alright, so before we go digging into the flywheel area, where we could have a Woodruff key that's sheared off a little bit, or a flywheel that has an issue with the magnets, we're going to check the TPS sensor on the carburetor. So it's throttle position sensor. So this regulates the throttle position. So as you twist the throttle, this value gets higher and sends a signal to the CDI. So what we're going to do is, we've got the lead off of here. We're going to check the ohm reading between, there's a black wire right there, a yellow wire, and a blue wire. So between the black and the blue, I looked up on the manual, it should read between 4 and 5 ohms. So what we're going to do is hook up one lead to the black wire. So the black lead is going to hook up to the negative side of the voltmeter. Then we're going to hook up one side to the blue wire. That's going to hook up to the positive side of the terminal. And we should be between 4 and 5 kilo ohms. And here we are. So that checks out. Then we're going to hook up the other one, the positive lead, to the yellow wire this time. And we're going to do a test here. So this is the ohms we see. Now watch this. As we twist the throttle, it should be very consistently going up. So, and we don't want it to go to infinity at all. And it should go between 4 and 5 ohms at full throttle. So there's full throttle. Then back down, it should be pretty smooth. And back down to 1.45, and then right back up again as we twist the throttle. And that's looking like that's working, so. TPS sensor looks good. I did mess with it a little bit, and I changed the settings, and it didn't affect the bike at all. So I'm guessing that's not the problem. What we're going to do now, before we go on to the flywheel area, I just want to do one more check with the carburetor. We are going to put a couple smaller jets in the carb and test this out one more time. So we're going to lean it out a bit. We saw that the spark plug was pretty black, so what we're going to do is move the needle in the carburetor. We're going to move that down. So we're going to move the clip on the needle up one position, and that moves the needle down, which allows less fuel to flow through. And then what we're going to do is, I think we're going to do that first, and we're going to do one fix at a time. All right, we just took this cover off the carburetor, and we're going to get to that needle in the carb here. So to do that, you got to take off that Allen bolt right there. Put the throttle all the way up here. The needle should be right there to come out. And that was pretty high, actually. So the clip was a spot lower than the middle position. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna move it 2 clips and lean it out a bit. We're going to put it to that right there. Oops. There we go. So now we move the clip up on the needle, which in turn lowers the needle because it sits down further in the carburetor, and that will allow less fuel to go through. And see if that makes a difference. Alright, while we're looking at the carburetor and have it off the bike, let's check out the accelerator pump diaphragm, which should be right here. Take a quick look at that. Make sure it's not gummed up or anything. A lot of times these are gummed up with sand and crap can get in here. So far that looks really good. Looks pretty good. Pumps it. So that looks good. No crap on there preventing it from running or anything like that. That looks great. Make sure this springs back in there when we reinstall it here. Alright, and then we'll check the other side. I'll show you where there's a couple jets that could be clogged. Alright, so right behind here, there's a couple jets in here. I want to clean those out. So we gotta take this thing off right here. Alright, so those are those jets right there. I want to take those out and clean those quick. Could be clogged. That one's pretty big. That one's at 200. And that's clear as well. So both jets are clear. This one is a 100. So we'll put those back. Those both look clear. Alright, we got the carburetor back on there. Needle is down further, making it leaner. Take it for a test drive, see how it runs here. Hopefully it's better. Gotta let this thing warm up for a bit. Alright, just took it for a test drive, and unfortunately, still no change. We're going to, I think, lower the main jet and see if that changes anything. So let's take the carburetor back out for the 80th time and change that main jet. Alright, so on this carburetor, there's actually an access port, so you can get to the main jet without having to take out the whole carburetor, which is kind of nice. Gas is going to be pouring out of here though. So you just have to watch out for that. There's no overflow on this carburetor for some reason. So in it right now, there is a 172. We're going to try to change that to like a 160. Maybe a 162 or something. See if we can find somewhere in the 160 range, maybe 165. Alright, so I found a 160 right here. We're going to put that in there. Of course, the whole thing's coming out. Great. You can see the 172 in there right now. So we're going to go drastically smaller and just see if that helps any. If it does help, we know that it is the main jet causing the problems. Alright, I think we got it fixed. I think that main jet was the problem. I took it for a little test drive and then down the road over here a little bit, and it doesn't break up at all. It sounds pretty good. There's still a little hesitation on the bottom end, but it's so much better. So we're gonna go head out to the land. I'll bring a couple jets with us. We might have to change it to a 165. I'm not sure. We'll take some jets with us, go test her out and see if she's better, but I think it's fixed. Alright, made it up to the land here. Let's do one final test drive on this thing and see if it's fixed. Hopefully it is. We might take it on the road again and test her out on the road as well, just to make sure it's all good to go. Alright, let's get this thing warmed up here. Oh yeah, she's fixed. Oh yeah, she revs out all the way. That is awesome. We're gonna throw in the GoPro and I'll show you guys, but yeah, it sounds great now. That is sweet. We'll see when it warms up. If it warms up and gets worse, then we know something else is wrong, but right now it's really, really good. Alright, this thing is a completely different bike now that we have it running right. So I'm pretty happy with it now. But let's see if it continues to run good as it warms up, because I know last time it got worse as it got hotter. So let's see here. Starts right up. We already warmed her up here, so we're good to go. Yeah, no bogging now. That feels good. That's awesome. Way better. Let's see this stretch right here. Woo! Woohoo! That's so much better. Wow. Oh yeah, I am happy. Sounds a lot better. You can hear it hitting the rev limiter at the right time, unlike last time. I wonder if I could go up a size on the jet. I can hear it backfiring just a tiny bit. Sounds pretty good. So you can still hear like the slight hesitation at the start, but it's really good compared to what it was. I mean, look at that. So we're gonna quick take it on the road just to compare it to last time here. Just to show you guys how much better it is. There we go. That's pretty fast. Quick turn around here. Oh, we're flying. Sounding like worse and worse here. There we go, we're on the road. That is not sounding good. Yeah, definitely not running right here. Alright, so finally this thing's fixed. I might put a 165 main in it because it sounded a little bit lean, very hardly noticeable, but it flies now, so I'm really happy with that. So much better. Thanks for everyone that commented on this video and left your suggestions. It ended up not being electrical, it was fuel related, so it was running rich, way rich apparently. So yeah, that was the culprit, and you could kind of hear it bogging on the top end. And then when we took out the spark plug, we kind of confirmed that was running rich because it was really black. We ended up moving the needle clip up a bit, making that leaner, and then we actually made the main jet way leaner. We went from a 172 to a 160, and that did the trick. So I might move it back up to a 165 or like a 162 just to make it a little bit richer. But right here, I mean, it's running how it's supposed to run.